Good morning.
Good morning, Nadine, and how are you this beautiful morning?
Oh, it's really beautiful. Wow, I woke up to ice crystals in the most beautiful forms and shapes outside, and the
Oh,
sun shining on them, glittering like, wow, that's just a perfect morning.
yes, that is beautiful. Well, it's a little foggy here this morning, but you know what? The air is so fresh. I woke up this morning, opened the window, and it was so quiet. You know when silence is actually golden, A-
Yeah,
and it's so quiet, you actually have to listen to the quietness. That's what
yeah,
happened to me this morning. It was so beautiful.
yeah. I don't do that often enough, I have to admit. There's
Yeah,
always things going on.
there's always.
Thank you for reminding me that. Yeah.
You see, my house is very quiet, and yeah, just being out in the country is such a privilege to be able to not hear traffic, not hear anything. Cows, yes. Birds, yes. Beautiful. Right. So let's dive in because this is such a beautiful chapter. We're on chapter 4, the magic box. And it's just such a beautiful reminder of what we need to be grateful for, what we need to accept in our life. And exactly that. You had the ice crystals, I had the silence. And it's just stopping for that one moment, being present, and actually realizing how beautiful we have things and to accept it and say thank you for it and feel it in your heart, in your body.
Absolutely. And we just left off last week with the law of supply, and I think that's a very good place to restart this week's reading.
Yes. Okay.
Kick off.
So, am I starting perpetual prosperity is built upon three things?
I'm on page 65, the law
Okay.
of
The law of supply. The law of supply is no respecter of persons. Since like produces like, and since the law of cause and effect works in the same way for all persons at all times, anybody who follows the law will infallibly demonstrate an abundant supply. And
uh,
that's it. What we need to realize is it's not just for special people, it's for everybody. You, me, anybody who wants to live a more prosperous and abundant life needs to realize they have to live by the laws of the universe.
yes. And in this one sentence, there are so many of the universal laws. And if you, like we talked about it last week, so you might want to jump back and listen to last week's session, because like understanding this to the roots
Mm.
opens up to so much ease, because all you have to do is to align yourself with those universal laws.
Yeah, so true.
And
That's
aligning one moment, and aligning, like, what is the task there? It's just removing resistance.
Mm.
Nothing else to be done, just be.
Yeah. Remove resistance and just be aware of your thinking patterns. You know,
Yes.
stop yourself from saying, "Oh, this is hard, this is difficult, it's a nightmare." Stop. It's not. Look at the good in everything.
Yeah.
So at the moment, you may be the most disappointed, disheartened, discouraged, depressed, and poverty stricken person in the world. You may not know which way to turn. You may be without connections, prospects, opportunities, and money. You may be flat on your back. But if you begin to apply these principles and do things after the law, your whole situation will begin to improve. If you need friends, you will find them. If you need money, you will get it. If you are in the wrong position, you will find the right one. If you are in the wrong place, you will find the right place. You can begin to secure these results by starting right now where you are to do things in the way that brings success. What he means
Yeah.
there is change your thinking because where you're thinking, where your energy goes, where your attention goes is where energy flows. So be aware of what you're paying attention to.
Yeah. And he said here with the law of supply, since like produces like, which means that the answer is already in you.
Mm-hmm.
The question is what your current, energies are attracting, and accordingly, just, dive into yourself and listen. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be your friends, and what do you want to be the money, the position, and all the other places he just mentioned? And just imagine yourself being there, having that, doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then every thought, and that's the secret here, every thought needs to come from that place.
So true. Yep. That's the secret. So what is the way that works such miracles in human life? It is the way of consciousness. Why consciousness? Because consciousness is your life, the creative life of God. It is what you have, where you are, how you work. It is what you do, how you act, what comes to you, what leaves you, the kind of friends and opportunities you attract, and the kind of problems you have. In fact, consciousness is the determining factor of every circumstance, experience, and condition in your life. It decides whether you are successful or unsuccessful, rich or poor, happy or sad, strong or weak, peaceful or discordant. For all are but the expression of your consciousness, of the universe in which you live. Life is a state of consciousness. And when we have said that, we have said everything that can possibly be said.
Yeah. So your task for today is, now you know that life is a state of consciousness. So just be curious about, where is your consciousness at right now?
Mm-hmm.
Go and look around the things that you have now physically around you. I have a book. What is my consciousness of the book? I have a coffee. What is my consciousness of the coffee? And I admit that my thoughts about coffee change. Sometimes I want it. Sometimes I say, maybe I should stop. Like, there's all kinds of thoughts around the very same cup I have here every morning. I love the routine around it. So that's interesting, right? So everything, your habits, the stuff around you, the people around you are your consciousness. And if you don't like what is around you,
Change.
become the next level consciousness that you want to be.
So true. Yeah, life is a state of consciousness. Start realizing what triggers you, what you're thinking about things, how do you respond? How do you react? Raise your levels of awareness. Become an individual. Stop bumbling around. Become an individual.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So do I carry on one more paragraph, Nadine? We've got some time.
Yeah, maybe. Let's do one more section.
Well, it gives you an opportunity now to really embed this. So now lean back in your chair, relax for a few moments, and let me ask you a few questions. What is troubling you at the moment? And answer these questions. What triggers you? What are you worrying about? What are you fearful? Why are you fearful? Is it unemployment? Is it discord? Is it unhappiness? Is it a lack of income? Then I say, look to your consciousness. If you are suffering from lack in any form, it is because you are, at this moment, out picturing what you have in your consciousness. You are hard pressed financially. Are you out of work? Are you without a decent place in which to live? Then you are expressing in your objective experience exactly what you're holding within. Say this to yourself. If thought is creative, then what I am and what I have at this particular moment simply image what I have in my consciousness. Wow. That's some food for thought, don't you think?
Amazing. Yeah. And good homework to do. Or week work. We were at home anyway.
Exactly. Wow, that's a lot of thinking to start thinking over the next 7 days before we read the next bit of this book is to think, what am I thinking? What is in my consciousness? And look at your results and work it backwards. Like Steve Jobs says, you can only join the dots by looking backwards. So look at what you have, your actions, your thoughts, your behaviors, and then start joining the dots and think about it.
Yeah. And once, like, there is an example that I used to get anxious about. And then I was thinking, so what is it? What is it? And so for me, for this particular example, it was time. I was afraid to be late. And when I, just thought it through and said, what would be happening if I were late, or if we were late, for that matter, also my children. And so since I just realized it's not the end of the world, it's not optimal, but it's not the end of the world, I started to relax. And for me, this was because it was so ingrained in my Swiss clock mind that being on time is like the utmost value in the world or so. And I think it's a value, and yet it's not the end of the world, and it's not a reason to get anxious and all of that. So it's just a lesson to be learned, and yeah, it made a big shift in my morning routines to just realize that
it's not worth
time
getting
is just time. Being late is being late.
It's amazing. I've been thinking about the same thing this week because, I'm very privileged now. I don't need to sit in traffic or anything like that. But so many times you'd get worked up. Oh, the traffic, move, people, move. And you get so angry. And that doesn't do well for your autonomic nervous system.
Yeah.
Your body does not like that adrenaline and cortisol pumping through it all the time. So about stepping back and saying, okay, the universe put me in traffic for a reason. I listen to a podcast. I have some time on my own. I can meditate, maybe not while you're driving, but listen to something really good.
Yes. Yeah. So everything is a gift. Life is a gift. Enjoy it. Become conscious of it.
So true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nadine. That was beautiful.
Absolutely. Good. See you back same time, same place next week with the continuation of You Too Can Be Prosperous.
Awesome. Bye-bye, everybody.